Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Bed Tech Show. This is our 10th episode. This is a
Let's
pretty good
go. Double
milestone.
digits, baby.
Yeah, this is
Double
pretty awesome.
digits. We made it.
So, we've got a nice action-packed show for you tonight. To start off with, let's talk about Microsoft choosing Nintendo and their big time deal that is coming through the pipework here. So, Microsoft is promising that Call of Duty is going to be on Nintendo consoles for the next 10 years, and there's going to be a 10-year deal. So, Nintendo fans are hoping that the ultra popular Call of Duty series would eventually come to the Switch. They got an unexpected boost when Microsoft's chief Phil Spencer announced that the company has reached a 10-year commitment to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo for the merger of Microsoft and Activision Blizzard. This announcement comes along some similar announcements promising to keep Call of Duty on Steam for the next period of time. And over the 10-year commitment, it's going to be the same length that Microsoft originally offered to Sony, that they kind of spat in their face when they offered that deal. So this is kind of like okay, we'll do the same thing to you and kind of stick it to you, Sony. So here you go. There's the deal.
Yep. Yeah. And like for those who don't know or don't remember, Call of Duty was on previous Nintendo consoles. You could see like Wii U and the Wii, but that console was a much more powerful console, and so it could handle the Call of Duty games. Now we have Warzone and multiplayer in Call of Duty, and it takes a lot of processing power. And personally, I don't know if the Switch can handle it currently, but future consoles,
Mhm.
we're already talking about the next gen console in the next 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, which is
And
crazy. I mean, it's been so hard to get a next gen console.
I know, yeah, I've already seen stuff for the PS6, and it's like, wow, we're already at that point where we're talking about the next gen already. Like, I feel like I just got mine.
Hmm.
Anyway, yeah, this is crazy. I think that's exciting. To me, I constantly feel as though Microsoft is truly trying to unify the gaming community. And some people might counter that by saying maybe they want more money, but I don't really see how this is. Well, now that they own or are going to be owning Activision Blizzard, I can see how that would boost their sales, right, to other consoles. But the fact that they're constantly trying to put their games onto many other uh, systems where they could make them exclusive.
Yeah.
And to me, that just goes to show they're really trying to just unify the community. And they, like, on social media, they applaud the other their competitors. They applaud Sony. They applaud Nintendo. Like, they are very outspoken in applauding these companies for the games that they create, and they're encouraging the unity of the gaming community, which I love. And a part of me feels as though Sony isn't, and Sony doesn't like the deal that Microsoft offered them for Call of Duty games for a 3-year deal. They didn't like that. They said it's not enough. Sony has tons of exclusives, so many
So
exclusives,
many.
to which I commend them because they are phenomenal. Like
Mhm.
God of War, oh
Oh
my gosh,
yeah.
I want to play that series so
Well,
bad. I just don't want to pay the money for a
I know.
PS5.
I want to get one just to play that game, but I
Yeah,
haven't.
and there's so many other ones, right? And we also, at the same time, we see Sony complaining that this Activision Blizzard deal shouldn't go through because, oh, then Microsoft would have a monopoly over so many games and have exclusives. And it's very clear Microsoft, they're trying to put their games specifically the Activision Blizzard games on other consoles,
Mhm.
and Sony's doing the exact thing they're complaining about. They're hiding their games behind their console.
Yeah.
And so I think this is awesome. I have wanted to jailbreak my own Switch to get first person shooters on my Switch, but I just haven't done it. And so if I have, a Nintendo console in the future that will have my games and my kids' games on them, because my family loves like the Mario games, you
Yes.
know, Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. Mario Party, we play those games. We
Those
love
are the
them.
best. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I can have their games and my games on the same console, and that would be really beneficial. It'd be easy
Yeah.
for us when we travel and whenever we have like, friends over. I don't know. It's just, I think this is a great move. I think this is phenomenal. I applaud it. I'm happy for it. I think it just allows for more people to enjoy video games.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I think this is an awesome deal. And, I really think that this is kind of Microsoft's answer to, okay, Sony, so I'm going to do an end around on you and give this a deal to someone who will take it and let them take the revenue and take the profit sharing from that.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is really good. I agree with you. I think Microsoft is doing some good things to really unify the community. I mean, they've like within the last few years, they've done a lot to unify just PC gaming and Xbox gaming and kind of make that into one platform. So you don't have to just exclusive be on the Xbox. You can switch between the two and your
Yeah.
game progress is
Game
synced over.
Pass,
Yeah.
integrations with third parties like Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that Sony is just pushing so hard to block this deal is mind-boggling to me. I mean, they're being really childish about this. And I think it's just because they didn't think of the idea first or didn't have enough money to do this. And so they're being really childish about it.
Yeah, which is sad to see because I really like Sony. I like a lot of their products. We've already talked about how they have phenomenal games. Sony is top notch. They are top quality.
Mhm.
PlayStations are phenomenal. I had the PS1 and PS2, and PS3 actually.
Ooh.
And I loved the PlayStations. I really did. It's just most of my friends and the community I game with are Xbox guys. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And I love Halo. So
Yeah, that was my reason of switching to the Xbox was purely for Halo.
yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it's kind of sad to see this battle. It's like it's almost as if, greed is just kind of taken over in this aspect, which is unfortunate. But that happens. That happens in business. That happens in capitalism. Sony's a business. They want to make money. They want to stop their competitors from making money. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sad to see. I really do hope this deal goes through, and I really hope that we get to see this because I would love to have Call of Duty on Game Pass. I'm really tired of paying every year for a new Call of Duty, so having that on Game Pass, primo. Even though I think I'd be spending more with Game Pass just to have that.
Yeah, but you're getting more bang for your buck.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of $70, because $70 is the new price now.
Yes.
Instead of $70, that's the base price. That's not like the Vault Edition, which is $100. $70 to $100, you're getting one game. But for your, I can't even remember what Game Pass, $15 a month.
$15 a month.
$15 a month, you're getting just an insane amount of games.
Yeah.
So.
Crazy. So hopefully this is a win. I really hope that Microsoft is able to do this and that regulators do allow this to go through. So we shall see. All right. Should we talk about Elon?
Let's talk about Elon. Everyone's talking about Elon.
Yeah, we always talk about
Elon.
You want to talk about semis or Apple with Elon?
We can do Apple. I feel like that's pretty recent, and then we can, and also I feel like it might be pretty quick, but
yeah. Apple with Elon. So Elon Musk was able to meet with Apple CEO Tim Cook mid claims of the Twitter App Store dispute. So Musk sent a tweet thanking Tim for taking him around Apple headquarters and didn't make a mention of what the two might have discussed. However, just a meeting of them that claimed Apple has mostly stopped offering ads on Twitter and that Apple has threatened to withhold Twitter from the App Store. So maybe this might have sparked a new deal between them. Maybe they came to terms and Apple is going to let Twitter have some AdSense revenue and be able to be on the iPhone, because that'll be really sad if Twitter has to be taken off the iPhone and off the App Store.
Yeah. That'd be a huge blow to Twitter.
Yeah, because that's essentially I would probably say 40% of where people post is, or I would say the majority of where people post is on their phone, and then you've got 40% of people have iPhones. So if you take that away, that's nearly half.
Yeah, I agree. But I think later on he says that there was no intention of removing it from the App Store. At the bottom, after this tweet right here, it says, "Good conversation. Yeah, good conversation. Among other things, we resolved the misunderstanding about Twitter potentially being removed from the Apple's App Store. Tim was clear that Apple never considered doing so."
See, that's
So,
interesting that he wrote it that way, because I'm pretty sure that Tim was clear that they were never going to consider doing it, but I think Elon wanted to, because he sent out a tweet earlier that was, you know, the App Store and then taking the off ramp exit, go to war.
oh really? Oh
Yeah,
wow. Because of the revenue aspect.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so I'm pretty sure that I would say that he is right that Tim probably had no consideration for doing so, but I think Elon was, he was pretty upset with the current deal
Huh.
that with Twitter.
So I'm trying to understand Elon's strategy there. Let's just play this out. Let's say Elon is frustrated. They aren't getting the revenue. Tim Cook and Apple aren't working with them. Elon's play was, I'm going to pull Twitter from the App Store, and that could potentially cause people to avoid buying an iPhone because they want Twitter, or they buy Apple, or they buy Android, or I don't know. I'm just
Potentially.
trying to understand how is that going to hit Apple,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that's, to me, that doesn't seem like a whole lot of leverage
Maybe the
with,
revenue aspect is not going to be there anymore for Apple because
maybe.
they can't have Twitter on their platform. So he's
But
like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to pull you off, and as a result, you're going to lose out on revenue."
yeah,
But then it's like also shooting yourself in the foot. You lose out on users. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
seems like a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Almost like if I'm going down with the ship, so are you.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
But it is interesting, he took a little short video of Tim on the, or took a short video of the pond in Apple campus. Didn't have Tim Cook in the photo. He just mentions him in the tweet. Kind of wondering if he cleared that with Tim Cook anyway to photograph that. Nevertheless,
Yeah.
it is
Actually,
what's,
I was actually thinking the same thing about like what he published. You know, like how does these conversations go where Elon's talking to these people, you know, CEO at Apple, Tim Cook, and Tim's like, "Oh yeah, we had no intention of taking you off," and Elon says like, "Good," and then he's like just goes ahead and tweets it like, "Oh, Tim says like no intention of taking it off," and Tim's like, "What are you doing? Like, are you tweeting what I said right now? Like, I didn't. You can't. Why are you tweeting that? Like, that's between you and me. This is between businesses, you know."
yeah.
I like wonder how does that play out? Where's like, you know, the discretion between what you share in your conversations with other businesses and not, you know. And I think
Yeah.
that's the risk with Elon is because he's so transparent and he's so fluid with how he is, and he's just an open, maybe not necessarily a completely open book, but he's
But it
pretty
it's pretty
straightforward.
borderline. Like, it could potentially be, I mean, I'm not saying that there was a non-disclosure agreement for this particular instance, but I
Yeah.
mean, with other things, if you're posting on social media, you could potentially be violating an NDA without knowing it.
Yeah, and and Elon's already had issue with, you know, litigation around impacting stock pricing from what he's tweeted because he
Mhm.
has such a massive following and emotional impact on people and how they move their stocks based on what he says and his strategy. So if he says things that like aren't 100% certain or aren't ready to go public, then yeah, I just thought of that dynamic exactly your point, you know. What did he get cleared to like post these things before he did it? In
Yeah,
my opinion, probably not. Like it's
probably not.
probably just being Elon. Like, hey guys, just an update, daily vlog of Elon. Here's an update.
Yeah, get a memo from the office of Tim Cook saying you need to take that down.
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah, pretty interesting. But pretty cool to see that these two companies meeting together and discussing issues. So
Yeah.
always like to hear stuff about this.
Yeah. I agree. It's kind of cool seeing powerhouses work together.
Yeah. In other Tesla news, seems as if they finally delivered the first Tesla semis.
Yeah. You know, this reminds me of the quote from Dumb and Dumber when they're on the little moped and they finally get to Aspen and I don't know
We're
if it's
there.
yeah, that's the quote. We're there. Like after this long journey, bitter, cold, long journey, we're finally there. We're there. We have the semis.
Yeah. So Tesla first finally delivered their first production semi trucks to PepsiCo for their California facilities. And I mean, this was an electric originally debuted back in 2017 with an estimated production of 2019. Here we are at the end of 2022. However, on the brighter side, this has a promised range of 500 miles per charge with a fully loaded trailer. I believe, the report said about 80,000 pounds, which is kind of your average weight for a trailer. So
Yeah.
that's pretty
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah, interesting enough, they have actually gotten federal approval to pull 82,000 pounds because of the batteries
Oh,
added to it. So the normal weight is 80,000. There it is. Uh, rather than the traditional maximum of 80,000 pounds to accommodate the added weight of their batteries. So they have an extra 2,000 clearance.
interesting. I hadn't heard about that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
That's
I
crazy
would,
to think of
I,
how big that battery is
yeah,
for the
yeah.
semi.
And I would think the opposite, that for safety regulations, they would take out, instead of adding on to the limit, they would deduct it from the limit. So instead of saying, oh, you can have 80,000 pounds. Oh, you have batteries? We'll bump it up to 82,000. They'll be like, oh, you have batteries? Okay, then because you have batteries, you can only take 78,000.
Right.
I thought that was really interesting.
Mhm. The inside of the cab looks pretty cool. I mean,
It's really clean.
you've got a pretty minimalist feature set here. I mean, I obviously haven't been in an semi truck myself, so I don't know what the regular interior looks like. However, just seeing this, how it's a little Model 3, Model Y esque with some extra screen real estate to give you all the necessary info that you need.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's got some camera views there so you can see the sides of you all
Yep.
the time. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I interned for a company called PACCAR up in Seattle, and they they own Kenworth and Peterbilt, the semi truck companies.
Oh, cool.
And so I saw, I would see these builds day in and day out. I went to Peterbilt's test track and drove inside of some of their trucks and toured some of their newer models and everything. And the Tesla, depending on the type, now I'll qualify with this, depending on the type of truck they're building, because they have like I think it's like over cab or a cab, which is like you like over engine, it's just like a front shield. There's like nothing in front. The engine's not in front of you,
Mhm.
So it's just kind of like if you were to run into a wall, you'd be like, it's like the wall, glass,
Yeah,
you, right?
you.
There's
Yeah.
like no buffer, right? I think that's called like over cab or over engine because you're like on top of it, just like
Mhm.
flush, right? And then you have your traditional one where the engine's in the front. But depending on, you know, what style it is, there's more room in the traditional, and there's like a passenger seat, almost like a bench, like a truck bench.
Mhm.
And the actual driving, it's pretty large space that you have. And I feel like Tesla's truck, it's a lot more compact. Um, and probably, I mean, it looks like it's very efficient in what they have there. Not as many different like levers to pull and gear and buttons to push and gears to do or whatever. It just seemed like it was very efficient, single passenger, just one seat, and then your gadgets in front of you, kind of like
Mhm.
almost like a control panel, right?
Yeah. Command center.
Like you're piloting something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting to see that comparison. But it's probably because they need to make room for batteries or
Mhm.
something else. I don't know.
Yeah. And I probably limiting the weight as much as possible in the cab.
Yeah,
Uh,
good point.
Probably because most of the time people are just going to be driving alone if they're driving a semi.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
makes sense to only have room for one in this use case. So, but yeah, cool. I think it's awesome. We're there.
We're there. Where like why I want this performance in a consumer vehicle.
Yes. Like if you can get a consumer vehicle that has a 500-mile range, like going on the freeway at freeway speeds, sustaining that and still be able to go 500 miles,
While
that would be
pulling
awesome.
80,000 pounds.
Yeah.
While pulling 80,000 pounds. Imagine you're pulling your freaking luggage for your vacation.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna go a lot farther, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe you're pulling a fifth wheel trailer in your truck and you have 80,000 pounds with that. So yeah, to be able to have that in a consumer vehicle, that would be game changing.
Yeah, you know how like trucks they have, the 150, the 250, 350. I wonder
Mhm.
if Tesla is going to have their foundational Tesla truck and then they just build a bigger, beefier truck that leverages the semi truck batteries. And this is like, it's like their Ford F-350 killer,
Yeah.
where it's like, this is the truck you want for pulling all your toys and your fifth wheel, and you could stack your UTV in the bed and have, a trailer in the back, like a 23-foot trailer you're pulling. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. That would
I
be
don't know.
cool.
That'd be kind
I
of cool.
I mean, that would be like a huge, huge milestone. Because I mean, right now with EVs, I mean, they're great until you have to pull something. As soon as you start pulling something, that just destroys your range and destroys your efficiency.
Wow.
And so, I mean, like, yeah, we've got the Rivian truck now. We've had the Model X and the Model Y that have hitches on them for towing. But,
Mm-hmm.
there have been a lot of reviews that as soon as you hook up a trailer or anything to those, you're toast. I
Yeah.
remember there was this one channel, I think it's I can't remember what it is, but they had a trip to go from Colorado all the way to California, and they were pulling a trailer just to see how it would go. And the space between the Tesla chargers, once they pulled it and they started going with their trailer, they didn't have enough battery to get to the next supercharger.
No way, dude. That sucks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Dang.
So yeah, I mean the fact that this can go 500 miles on a single charge, that's outstanding.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So
It makes me not want, it makes me want to hold off. I mean, I'm not purchasing an EV in the near future, mainly because of price, availability, and infrastructure. But if I was, this would convince me to delay, you know, just to wait. We're like in V1
mhm.
beta
Yeah,
of of EV towing.
yeah, for sure. I
So
mean, EVs right now, they're I would say, yeah, it's a good thing. They're a good point. They're in like the beta phase, really. Because I mean, your average one, if it's good, it can go 300 miles. Um, Anything better than that is even better. Or they vehicles can't even get up to that. So yeah, I think the next iteration in battery technology with this semi seems like it's the forefront on will be a game changer.
hmm, I agree.
All right, what should we get into next?
The plane. I want to talk about the plane.
Okay, plane.
Wait, hold on. I don't have the updated specs for it,
Okay,
but
you pull it up and you share it.
I just know about it. All right. Okay, we're gonna talk about the plane. If you don't know about planes, well, if you don't know, if you haven't listened to our podcast before, I've talked about planes before because I'm a big plane guy. Um, I don't fly planes. I'm not a pilot. I've considered getting a pilot's license, but I don't have the time or the money. But I am just fascinated with these aircrafts that can fly fast and far and do insane amount of damage.
If you
So
side note,
go ahead.
if you need a sidekick to go with you for getting a pilot's license, let me know. I'll definitely do it with you.
Okay,
Like for
that's
sure.
that.
I'm down for that. Something I've always wanted to do, like having my own private jet and just being able to fly anywhere that I want without having to rely on anybody else.
All right, that is definitely a conversation we take outside this podcast, but I am
Okay.
100% on
Deal.
board with that.
Deal.
Anyway, so there's a couple big manufacturers and you could say innovators in the airplane space, right? We have Lockheed Martin and we have Northrop Grumman. Okay. Northrop Grumman just came out with they partnered with the Air Force and they just came out with the next generation of bombers. It's called the B-21 Raider. Okay.
Ooh, that
And let's
sounds
see
awesome.
here. I can share my screen if it allows me to. All right. Can you see this? This is what it
Oh
looks
yeah.
like. The
Ooh.
B-21 Raider. Okay. All right. So it's a strike stealth bomber capable of delivering both conventional and nuclear munitions. Okay. And the ideas behind the bombers that they're ridiculously stealth. That's why they look like this for those who don't know anything about planes. The B-2 bomber is very famous for its shape and its the wings. It's kind of like a W. And this is very similar. Um, but we'll go into just like some small aspects here. It's component of a larger family of systems for conventional long-range strikes, including intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, electronic attack. That's something that I don't see a lot of. I don't hear a
Oh
lot of people
yeah.
talk about electronic attack. Okay. So like we're talking about like EMPs, electromagnetic pulses. They drop a EMP bomb and then it wipes out any kind of like radar or cameras, etc. Right. So
Mhm.
that's pretty cool. Uh,
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm like getting excited just thinking about this. What the capabilities are, and the thing about this is that you could have it based, you know, hundreds of miles away, and then it could take off and just go. It's an assassin in the night. It just comes in, does its thing. It's quiet. It's under the radar. It's just crazy. Okay, so primary function: nuclear capable, penetrating strike stealth bomber. They have a minimum of 100 aircraft, and on average, it's $550 million
Jeez. That was in
for the
2010.
2010 for base year 2010 dollars, but it's 692 in the current year because
Oh
of
dear.
inflation and things like that. So each plane costs $692 million. If you want to know where your tax money is going, it's going to these really cool looking planes that you'll never see in your life. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's really cool. They have the reason why they call it the B-21 Raider. It's based off of some like a group of bombers back in the day. I recommend you take a look at it, but it's pretty cool, the history behind it and the history behind how the the planes developed for bombing has developed over the years. But I, I wish I could get into more of the technical aspects, and I wish I knew more of the technical aspects. But essentially, just know this thing is capable of long range flights. It can carry insane amount of cargo, and it can do pretty much any kind of attack you want. It's not made for dogfighting. It's not made for that. That's what we have the F-22 and the F-35s for. This thing is, like I said, it's an assassin. It's made to go on its own in the middle of the night, not to be caught or to be seen. It's pretty cool. The one thing that I love that you'll notice here next to the wheels, has these side panels, and the side panels, they have like hexagon shapes on the outside. And
Oh,
then when
that's
the
really cool.
when the wheels go up, the panels fold up underneath. And it's so that when the wheels are down, if anytime they're down and they need to be in the radar, or they need to be in range of enemy radar, it still doesn't get detected. It like throws off the
Oh,
radar.
that's really
Anyway,
cool.
it's really cool. Let's see here. I wonder if there's any more photos. This is like a high res photo.
I mean,
Um,
this like looks like something out of this world from Independence Day.
yeah, yeah, it does. It's if you think about it, we're like starting to get to the UFO shape here.
Uh-huh.
Like this is kind of looking like a UFO. From a top-down view, you can see the backside, which has that traditional, not traditional, but similar to the B-2 bomber, where it's like the jagged insert of the wings. I want to see, maybe we can find another one. Let me just look at the images here. So yeah, so this is I think this is the B2 and this is the B21 right here. That's
Oh,
kind of
that's
what we're
pretty
looking at.
cool. Yeah, it's got a very similar shape and design,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. These are some concepts here, I think. These aren't actual photos. These are concepts, but yeah, you kind of get the idea of what it looks like. So yeah, this is kind of what it looks like. It's pretty gnarly looking. Look at that side view. That
that
if you look at any kind of bird flying, like
that, that looks
that's
exactly like it.
yep, from the side view, exactly. Yeah, so crazy. So
Man,
crazy.
this is like really cool. Like I wish I could have been a part of designing and engineering this
Yeah,
plane.
yeah. I know for real. Like this thing is flat, man. Look how flat this thing is. There's just like no curvature. These engines, intake, it's just sucking in that air and just spitting it right out. That's just so crazy.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And you know, to think of all the tech and that goes into this and all of the like cool specifications for it, it's amazing to think of like how use cases for this type of aircraft and
Yeah.
using it in our arsenal.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I was hoping they'd show the weapons bay, like where they store on plane all the different bombs and weapons. But yeah, essentially I agree with you. It's crazy to think the technology that it has. You know, oh my gosh.
That is insane.
Well, anyway, yeah.
Wow.
So it's a pretty cool plane. I don't know. I get excited about this stuff.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it'd be cool to like be able to visit an Air Force base and just be able to view this and see it take off and see it in action.
yeah, see it fly. It'd be cool to go to an air show.
Dang, that's pretty cool. Like I'm super excited about that now.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear like, you know, how obviously anytime, you know, war isn't great. I don't like war. I don't celebrate war. If we didn't have any more wars, that would be phenomenal. But at the same time, there are times when we need to defend for what we believe is right,
Mhm.
right? And there are times in in history where we have celebrated victories, and when planes and technology has really come into play. So I'm not excited for like future wars, but we just know that is the nature of the world.
Right.
What I am excited for is to see what kind of wins this thing brings for what we believe is the fight of justice, right? Whatever that war is or situation that is, right?
Right.
But I am looking forward to seeing, you know, what kind of wins this thing brings to the world, you know, and to us, to the
Yeah.
US.
And
So
I mean, like, even in addition to like military wins and combat and conflicts, you know, those stem and translate into the consumer realm and into the commercial area. Like that type of technology that can translate into commercial jets and make them more
mhm.
efficient and make air travel even better for citizens and getting around the world. So, you know, it's really cool to see that now. and how those concepts will then translate later into the consumer realm.
Yeah, good point. That's actually a really good point. There's like government development and private development, and then eventually that like bleeds into consumer, right?
Yes. So pretty cool to see. All right. What one would you like to end on tonight?
Let's see here. We can do do you want to do the union one?
Oh yeah, I have so many opinions on unions. They're terrible.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do that. Just so our listeners know, Ethan's job deals with HR, like law and legal and HR. So you have to understand where he's coming from, why he hates unions.
Unions are great, but for somebody in like the HR legal realm, they're just terrible. All right.
Legals
So
are or unions are great if you're in the union. Unions are
yes.
not great if you are fighting against one.
All right. So yeah, I haven't really delved too much into this. You want to walk us through it, Ben?
Yeah. Okay. So if you haven't heard in the past, Activision Blizzard, they have been in the news. They've had bad PR. This is outside the scope of the Microsoft acquisition. Okay.
Yeah, just the bad PR of Activision in general.
Yeah. So prior to the announcement of Microsoft's acquisition, Activision Blizzard had multiple allegations for essentially sexual misconduct and creating this fraternity bro atmosphere. And as a result, there was somewhat of like a cleaning house. And they really tried to save themselves from a PR aspect. A lot of announcements from C-suite leadership saying we're going to clean this up, we're going to fix this, we're going to establish new policies, etc. And then for the first time, there was a union formed under Blizzard. Okay, now there's that, and that was maybe a year or two ago. I can't remember exactly, but just recently, this story is about another union being created, and it's about pay, and it's causing some issues at Activision Blizzard because there's a lot of people rallying around for higher pay, and they want a lawsuit to be settled, and they want more money, and so there's this battle now between Activision Blizzard trying to restrict their employees from banding together to cause these union or creating these unions and causing these changes in pay policies and things like that.
That's going to be
So
bad if they continue down that.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
I just see all the legal ramifications that are going to come from that.
yeah. So you can see here in this article, if we look at the different paragraphs, in the above paragraphs, you can see it talking about the frat boy culture, the historic unionization. And let's see here. Let me find the spot that I think would highlight this. Let's see. So they already, like I said, they have one union already. Some employees that do QA at Activision Blizzard, under under like the Raven software, which is part of Activision Blizzard. And then there's another union that just was created, and this new union, they had a full meeting on November 2nd, and several employees, they had essentially like a bargaining session with Activision Blizzard for payment. And they also claim Activision Blizzard required the union to pay for this missed time that the workers took to participate in this bargaining session, right? And so the employees are like, hey, we want more pay. Let's have a discussion. And Activision Blizzard said, okay, sure, let's discuss. They meet for 4 hours. They go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They don't come to a conclusion. And Activision Blizzard's like, we're not paying you for this time you took to deal with, this discussion because you weren't working. This is like you were doing your own thing. And that's what the employees in this union say. Activision Blizzard, they contest this description. They said that the employees at the bargaining committee used personal time off. We didn't pay the employees for time spent bargaining because they were not working on Activision work. So they're like, we're not paying them because we're being rude about it. We're not paying them because they took time off, personal time off. Anyway, it's kind of a headache for Activision Blizzard because if it's almost like a rebellion. I just watched Andor, and I'm thinking of that, how like once there's a spark of fire, then that wildfire can spread like crazy.
Oh yeah.
And so I think there was one union formed, and they're able to kind of pull some benefits their way. And now there's another union formed, and they're trying to have an impact. And if other employees see this, then they can create their own unions inside of Activision Blizzard and continue to cause issues for Activision Blizzard. And what this does is it causes expense in multiple aspects, right? Delay of work, increased legal expense,
Increased operating costs.
yeah, increased
So
operating
much.
costs, exactly. Increased overhead if they actually agree with a higher pay of employees. And so sure, like Activision Blizzard is gonna have all that additional increased costs. But the bad thing about it is, from a user perspective, this is going to cause delays on game deliverables. It's going to cause they're going to reflect that cost to us, the consumer. They're going to charge more for games and for upgrades, for DLCs, etc. They're going to try and get their revenue back somehow. You know what I mean? And although I do think people deserve to have fair pay, Activision Blizzard is very competitive. And so you have to know going into that, it's going to be very competitive, and they're going to take whoever has the highest skill for the cheapest price.
Yes.
Right? So I don't know. I'm mixed emotions on this. You know what I mean? I'm mixed emotions.
I mean, for employees, unions have some pretty good benefits. I mean, it allows people to have a voice in the company in which they wouldn't otherwise have it. However, on the business side of it, like, it takes so much time to be able to do anything. Like, I've seen union agreements where the company has to speak with union and get agreement before they can change the angle of a camera in a facility, or before they can add a camera or take away a camera. It just creates
so frustrating.
Yeah, it just creates more work that doesn't need to necessarily be there.
Yeah, unnecessary red tape, right?
Yeah, and it can sometimes hinder a work from actually wanting to do something good for their employees, because they have to go through the union. They have to get that in agreement before it even comes through. And at that point, a business is going to say, well, this isn't even worth it. Why are we doing more than we have to? So, yeah, for me, I think in a sense, like, the employees, I feel for them. I mean, there has been such a negative culture at Activision for such a long time, and there definitely does need to be a cleanup. And I think this is their way of saying, okay, we want to take matters into our own hands. However, doing this, it's going to prevent Activision from being able to more efficiently clean it up and change the actual problem.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what's going to happen here if Activision Blizzard is going to say, sure, yeah, we'll negotiate with you. And it'll be interesting to see if more employees band together to create more unions within their specific roles and departments. But the article says that the employees are showing no signs of going quiet.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it just sounds like they're being really loud whether that's good or bad, right? They're voicing their opinions and they're pushing back on announcements and they're, yeah, I don't know. It'll be I it'll be interesting to see. I just am gonna be frustrated as a consumer.
Yeah, I'm
You
going to be
know,
super frustrated if it takes them long enough to nerf the LA Thieves skin on Modern Warfare 2. Because that's just like the new rose skin for Modern Warfare now. Everybody's buying that. And I even jumped onto the bandwagon because I thought it looked cool and
it does look cool.
need to get my
The
edge
black
on.
with the red. That
Yeah.
it's a pretty sick skin.
Yeah, I need to get my edge on Warzone anyway since I'm
Yeah,
terrible at Warzone.
same here.
So, yeah, it's it's going to delay updates, and as a consumer it's not going to be good in my opinion. I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah. So
Alrighty, well, that's all we have for tonight. Thank you all for joining us in this late hour of the Bed Tech Show. We really appreciate your support. Please make sure you smash that like button if you liked it. And if you disliked it, that other button works okay too. Make sure you send it to somebody that you dislike. Always make sure you smash that bell icon and ringling that dingling button so you can stay up to date for new videos as they drop. So as always, thank you, take care, and stay classy.